Buphirima halala. Halala ngaka modiri Molema halala. Halala President Zuma halala. Thank you, Program Director. Fellow South Africans, the people of Northwest, in particular, the leadership, President Zuma, the Premier of Buphirima, Premier Mahumapilo, our honorable traditional leaders, Mahoshi, with us here. Today is a very important day, a reconciliation day. If we are to know whether we are moving towards a true nationhood, we're going to measure that through how we reconcile as South Africans. This day was adopted as part of the program of the democratic government from 1994. It symbolizes the goodwill amongst the people of South Africa who are prepared to embrace each other to bridge the divide in building a non-racial South Africa. That's why we are here today. And that's why our friends, ladies and comrades there are correct to be in this jubilant mood. Because indeed, we come from a divided past. We cannot perpetuate that. I'm going to be driving this program with my colleague here, MEC of Arts, Sports and Culture in this province, Buphirima, MEC Matware. We are going to together co-direct and ensure that we try as much as possible to have our program rolling efficiently. We are not going to waste any time. That before we do anything, somebody must welcome us and ensure that the in charge of we are at home, and that's none other than the Premier of Buphirima, Premier Mahumapilo, who's going to welcome us.
Kerekise Chinuela Haisu. Ke leboge batsamaisa tiro ba letsatsi la gompieno tona Nathi Mthethwa le mokhuduthamaga mme o ntlametse motshwaro ke tse tshinoe go dumedisa maaparangwe magosi a rona o tla leng teng mo letsatsi la gompieno thata kgosi Gopane wa motse o re le mo gona wa Gopane legolokwane bagaetsi re leboga thata re tshetsime go dumedisa bakhuduthamaga botlhe ba seboka sa komiti-khuduthamaga ya rona ya province ya Bokone Bophirima re dumedise le baroma pusong botlhe ba dipuso selegae dimeara botlhe ba ba leng teng ka kwano le matona otlhe go tswa pusong ya rona ya bosetšhaba ba ba leng teng ka kwano re dumedisa le baeng go tswa diporofenseng tsotlhe tsa Bokone Bophirima le nageng ya rona ya Aforika Borwa jaaka ikadile re amogelele maAforika Borwa otlhe a wa shebileng dithelebishene go gae maAforika Borwa re mo Bokone Bophirima la amogetse dumelang President Jacob Zuma ke wena tautona ya rona ke wena o tleng go dira molaetsa mogolo mo letsatsi la gompieno seo nna ke tleng go se dira ka bokhutshwane ka boripana ke go amogela setšhaba se sa Modimo se mo porofenseng ya rona Bokone Bophirima ke ne ke re ke go itsisi wena segatlhamela masisi wena mapetekano wa ga Mosetla wena mothule o mokokotlo o thupa wena presidente yo a sa lapeng ke bashimane ba sa rupa ke ne ke re ke go itsisi gore rona ka kwano mo Bokone Bophirima re batho ba tsetsepela Bokone Bophirima tsetsepela Bokone Bophirima tsetsepela mo tsetsepelong ye rona e tautona wena segatlhamela masisi re tseile tshwetso ya gore leeto leo le o re laetseng gore re le tsee la go aga Aforika Borwa kopaneng wa demokrasi wa sa tlhaoleng batho ka mmala le bong le kgodiso ya ikonomi ke selo seo re yang go se dira ntle le go tikatika ke selo seo re yang go se dira re kanotse dihuba re gata re gatoga re gatela kwa godimo ebile re dira seo re itse gore mo tseleng ye re tsamayang ye go tla tsamaya go na le bommamaparego le borramaparego ebile re a bona gore mo ketelongpele ya go baakanya Aforika Borwa o tsamaya wena o ntse le gatlhamela masisi jalo o tsamaya o kopana le bommamaparego le borramaparego jaanong ne re go netefaletse moeteledipele wa rona gore rona re le Bokone Bophirima o pilara ya rona yo re tla ikaegang ka yona go agwile ne re go itsise gore tla go ema nokeng ka mokgwa o bonang re go amogela le ba ba go eme nokeng re le matšhititšhiti jaana mo letsatsi la gompieno mo mosong wa letsatsi la gompieno tautona re tsogile ka mahube a naka tsa kgomo ra nanogela ko Groote Mariko re ile ko go netefatsa gore re ribolola lekwete ya go netefatsa gore jaaka boithaopi the chief volunteer When the ANC asked for volunteers to rise against the apartheid system, you were one of the volunteers in this country who stood up and said, I volunteer and leave everything to attend to the atrocities that our people are facing. Would you really say? In that journey of voluntarism, in your quest to go into exile, you then got arrested in Groote Mariko in this province. So this morning, as government in this province, we took a decision to do a short turning for a monument of the capture site where you got arrested, so that future generations can learn from this history which is not going to be erasable. They can know that as a volunteer you stood up against the system, no matter the challenges and the dangers that you are going to face, as a volunteer committed to make sure that we collapse the system of apartheid. Lastly, President Jacob Zuma, as government in this province, in pursuit of the objective to build a non-racial South Africa, to make sure that we strengthen and use our diversity to build the province, we commenced a program of reconciliation, healing and renewal. That program has been going on very well in the province. Yesterday we were with the Minister in Mahikeng to unveil the logo and the program that is going to take us to further strengthen this particular program. Yano re batla go leboga gore wa bo sile motlhala ka gore rona re gata hela mo motlhaleng o ka ntla gore re ditlhako tsa morago tseo di gata mo go ya pele e gatileng teng ebile ra itse re le bokone bophirima gore Motswana o rile koro e ga ke ke bapalela tsetse ra itse gore rona re dikgaka kgolo ga rena mebala e dikgakaneng. The Khakana are the people of this province that we need to work for to make sure that we defeat poverty, inequality, and unemployment. Welcome. You are all welcome in this important day of reconciliation in South Africa. When I look for fire for a referendum,
Mangwane Koral, can we have you on stage, please, especially after the message that Makwalawa Church le Morao. Yeah? We are on now. Ah, that. The choir is coming to give us an item. A round of applause, please. Well, I didn't know that the people of Northwest are jealous people. You guys are jealous. You know, this side is disappointing me. You know? These kids has just excelled in what they did. Is this all what you can say? That's much better. That's much better. The program of the province of Northwest, led by Premier Mahumapelo, of reconciliation, healing, and renewal, is in consonant with the Day of Reconciliation itself. It is a provincial chapter of a commitment of a nation to reconcile. It's not an easy thing to do. Forgiving can never be easy. It can never be something for the weak. It's something for the strong. Our nation is called upon to reach out and bridge the divide. Our nation today, at this moment, is going to listen to the message from the President of the Republic of South Africa, His Excellency President Zuma, who is going to give us the message for this very important day in our calendar. Understanding where the day comes from, which symbolized a divided people. We have to bridge this gap. Mr. President, batho ba bo bokoni bophirima are waiting for you.
Thank you very much, directors of the program for today. Premier of the Northwest Province, Ndate Supra Mahumapelo. Ministers and deputy ministers present here today and MECs of the province, members of the national and provincial legislatures, mayors and councillors, Motlhontlhegi Kgosi Khopane, Makhosi a tlhontlegang honored guests, fellow South African, Dumelang, Leka, Itabile he Haririte, Lere Narite, Bagesu kitla kupa swarero kauri mealetso ona ga tsene ke mealetso wa setšhaba ka ofela o tshwanetse gore ha ke bua mo ke bua le setšhaba ke yona ntho eo ke tla bua sengesemane ka gore fela batho ka otlhe ko setšhabeng sa rena ba re utlwe ha ke fetsang Meo o tla toloka o tla summarize boe re a tloa We are honored to be here in Khopane today to commemorate a very important day in our history, the National Day of Reconciliation. The 16th of December represented a painful division between black and white among our people in this beloved country for more than a century, until 1995. The Afrikaner people celebrated this day as a day of victory against the Zulu army under King Dingaan in 1883 at the Battle of the Ngome River in Natal. In 1910, the Union government declared the 16th of December a national holiday. In 1952, the apartheid government renamed this day as a day of the covenant, where they claimed to have made a covenant with God in 1838 that they will observe and celebrate 16th of December if they win against the Zulu people. The 16th of December is also the day on which the ANC military wing, Umkhonto weSizwe, was established to take up arms against an intransigent and cruel apartheid state. President Mandela declared 16 December as the National Day of Reconciliation in 1995. This was significant to have Madiba, who was the first commander of Umkhonto weSizwe and led the ANC in taking up arms against the apartheid state, declaring that we should reconcile and rebuild our country. He and the democratic government turned a day that was a source of division into a day that brings South Africans together. As we celebrate this achievement of our nation, we should also remember that reconciliation is a two-way process. While black people are implored to bury the pain of the past and move on, white compatriots should also be ready to accept and support the imperative of transformation and redress.
Pula. Yana. Lile la
lile la ripula aine. Yano yana. Ifihlile pula. The implementation of measures to de-racialize the economy, such as black economic empowerment, affirmative action, and land reform, remain critical for us to achieve true and meaningful reconciliation. All these are provided for in the Constitution of the Republic, which is 20 years old this month. We should drive these programs together as we rebuild our country. We should thus not regard reconciliation as an easy matter. It is profound and requires a lot of work by all of us. Today, we must all recommit ourselves to walking this important journey together, all of us as South Africans. Fellow South Africans, commemorating the Day of Reconciliation here in Kopan today also carries immense historical significance. Kopan is one of the villages which experienced bloody confrontations between the people on the one hand and the apartheid government and its collaborators on the other, where people were brutally killed over the issue of passes between 1957 and 1958. The conflict, as most might be aware, started in Dinokana, where the women mounted resistance against carrying passes. They were inspired by Jose Abraham Moeloa's resistance to the Bantu authorities' laws. The black spots removals and the pass laws on the one hand. They were also inspired by labor migrant formations such as Bahurushe Association on the other. A spiral of anti-pass conflicts spread to other villages in the Lehuruche area, which included Kopane, Musweu, Wesley Khati, and Motswedi. Many people fled to exile in Botswana. Some succumbed to harsh conditions or starvation and died, while some were brutally assaulted by the apartheid authorities and their collaborators. As we concluded the year in which we marked the 60th anniversary of the Women's March to the Union buildings in Pretoria against passes, we salute the women and all people of Kopane and surrounding villages of Zerast for their contribution to the fight for freedom of movement, the fight against pass laws. We also salute traditional leaders in this area who resisted apartheid policies, often at great cost. Some were banished while their people were exiled to Botswana, constituting the first batch of exiles and refugees to that country at the time when it was still called Bechuanaland. It is these committed men and women who made Lehuruche an important rural hotbed of anti-apartheid activism over many years since the late 1950s, which made it a safer terrain for later anti-apartheid political activities. This area is therefore also significant as it served as a very critical passage route for anti-apartheid activists as they left the country for exile. Many activists, including former President Mandela, President Thabo Mbeki, President Oliver Tambo, and many others used the Zerast route to Botswana to exile. and in various other countries, such as Tanzania, Zambia, England, and many other countries. The main route was via Zerast. It also became the route of many of the guerrillas to come back home. Last Sunday, we laid to rest a veteran of the struggle, Mr. Riot Makomanis Mkwanas, with whom I was arrested near this area, near Zeras at Claude Marico, in 1963, leading to us being taken to Pretoria and tried and finally sentenced to 10 years on Robben Island. We spent the night in Zerast, and I was telling the mourners that we planned to escape the following day because we thought that the situation was relaxed. And we were going to run across these mountains to Botswana, and we did not even know the border or the fence, but we were going to run until we are there. Unfortunately, in the morning, they were ready for us, formed a human corridor. We realized the situation had changed, except Raut Mkwanas, who broke the line and attempted to run. And of course, he was caught. But I was talking about his bravery. Also, that when there was a mission to be fulfilled, he would not stop halfway. Nothing would stop him. He was the only one who wanted to implement the plan. He was a very unique comrade. We once again thank the people of neighboring Botswana profoundly for their solidarity and selfless contribution to our struggle for our liberation. We come from a painful past as South Africans. We have been able to come this far in 22 years because we took that conscious decision to move on and build a new nation. That was the best decision any nation coming from conflict could ever take. It was also in the best interest of the country and generations to come. Indeed, the journey towards reconciliation continues, and there are various aspects to it. I mentioned the need for redress. There is also the need to assist families that were directly affected by apartheid atrocities, who lost their loved ones in painful circumstances, to find closure and healing. Government is currently engaged in a program of finding missing persons and also handing over of the remains of former political prisoners who were executed by the apartheid government to their families. At least 130 political prisoners were hanged for politically related offenses in the period between 1960 and 1990. The state retained custody of the remains of the deceased, thereby denying their families the opportunity to receive or bury their loved ones. The apartheid state buried the deceased political prisoners as paupers in cemeteries in and around Zuma, despite the fact that their families were willing to receive the bodies for burial. Of the 130 hanged political prisoners, 47 have already been exhumed by other parties, groups, or individuals. 83 remain to be recovered, and these are the remains of former members of the Pan-Africanist Congress who were exhumed, who were executed in the 1960s, as well as United Democratic Front activists who were hanged in the 1980s. The democratic government launched the gallows exhumation project on the 23rd March 2016 at Kgosi Mampuru Correctional Center in Pretoria to begin the exhumation of the mortal remains of the 83 political prisoners. This week, on the 14th December 2016, the remains of 12 Eastern Cape PAC members who were executed in 1964 for the Mbashe River construction site incident were exhumed at Rebecca Street Cemetery in Zuma. The remains of other 2 activists who were also executed for their part in the Mbashe incident shall be exhumed in January 2017. This leaves government with 71 remains to be exhumed. We acknowledge the work of the Missing Persons Task Team and the Truth and Reconciliation Unit in the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development, who undertake this difficult task. It is a taxing and painful period for the families. We trust that this process will assist them to find closure to these years of painful feeling. Compatriots, reconciliation is also about providing support to those who sacrifice lives, comforts, to free this country and people. The former combatants who served in the liberation armies, Umkhonto weSizwe and APLA. Government is working hard to ensure that the socio-economic needs of former combatants are met. Many are unable to look after themselves and cannot provide for their children. Government established the Department of Military Veterans in 2014 so that it can take care of the reintegration of former combatants into civilian life and to provide the necessary socio-economic and psycho-social support. The full establishment of the department has also taken longer than planned, which has affected some of our veterans. It has come to our attention that some of our former combatants are not on the database of the department and have not been receiving benefits that they are entitled to. It becomes a sore point that the former members of apartheid forces against whom they fought receive these benefits. I went to visit one of the members of the Ashri Krill MK unit in Cape Town on the 7th of December. Mr. Patrick Presence in hospital in Cape Town. His circumstances are a stark reminder of the presence of many others whose families suffer in silence. We wish him and many other veterans in ill health a speedy recovery. While there are difficulties, the delivery of some of the benefits to military veterans, as stipulated in the Military Veterans Act of 2011, increased this year. The Department of Military Veterans is currently providing more than 5,000 bursaries to military veterans and their dependents for basic and higher education. To date, almost 15,000 military veterans are being provided with free healthcare support. Government is also on course to provide 1,000 houses to military veterans. Currently, close to 2,000 destitute military veterans are provided with support through the social relief of distress programs run by the Department of Social Development. Government will not rest until the services reach all our veterans who served in the liberation movement as we continue the journey towards reconciliation. Compatriots, the National Day of Reconciliation is also about coming to terms with the painful tragedy that occurred in August 2012 in Marikana, in this province, where about 44 people were killed, the majority of them by police during a strike at Lone Min Mine in Rustenburg. The incident was painful and traumatic, not only for the families, but all South Africans. Commission led by retired Judge Ian Fallam, who made findings and several recommendations. We issued a detailed statement on the 11th of December outlining what various government departments are doing to implement the recommendations.
Well, that was President Jacob Zuma speaking on this day, the Day of Reconciliation at Kopane in the Northwest, talking about the efforts that have been made for the military veterans in terms of about health care and also receiving support in terms of housing. We do apologize, as we were finishing there seemed to be some interruption with the visuals. We'll get back to that a little bit later. Now, Reconciliation Day is celebrated annually on the 16th of December. This day came into effect in 1994 to foster reconciliation and national unity. The Northwest Province has had its fair share of events which have polarized communities in this area, some of them dating back to the homelands and the Bantustan era in Bophuthatswana. Today, the day is used to try and heal the wounds of the past.
Reconciliation Day has its roots in the 1838 Battle of Blood River. But since the dawn of democracy in 1994, the day has been used to focus on national unity. In the last 2 decades, many events have polarized South Africa along racial lines. The Northwest Province, which hosts this year's National Reconciliation Day event, has had its fair share. One such event, the 1994 AWB siege of Mafikeng, which was under the administration of Bophuthatswana Bantustan leader Lucas Manyane Mangope. Khosi Tsile Moatlhudi is a victim of that fateful day. He is wheelchair bound and his life has never been the same.
From now on, we don't have any income to help us for like going to hospital, for doing so many things. Even my wheelchair has been broken so many times, so I don't have money to buy any wheelchair.
Efforts are being made to make amends.
Remember that some of them are now disabled because of the injuries that happened there. We will have to say, what is it that we can do together with them, at least to alleviate the weight that is on their soldiers, that is on their shoulders, to make sure that psychological and emotional burden that they carry on a daily basis, how do we resolve it?
Fast forward 22 years and there are still incidents that divide the nation. In January 2008 in Skirlek near Swartregens, the then 17-year-old Johan Nel randomly shot local residents. The community says it has not been able to forgive him.
To reconcile with him, he must bring back my children. Had the Nel family ever came to us, we could have forgiven them. We all make mistakes.
Government says it will make another attempt to bring the parties together.
The team of the RHR will be within Skirlek to meet with the victims and the perpetrators to find the solution to that, to find out exactly what transpired. Because for us to correct, we have to have both side stories from the two parties, so that we can understand exactly what happened in particular day.
National Reconciliation Day will be celebrated in Kopane village in the Luhurutsi area in Zeerust in the Northwest Province. It will be led by President Jacob Zuma. Solofelo Matibedi, SABC News, Northwest Province.
Well, we understand that a heavy storm in the northwest caused a lot of wind, and which may have actually collapsed the marquee that the president was speaking in, and hence the confusion. But we will get back there a little bit later. Now, today marks the 55th anniversary, pardon me, of the ANC's military wing, Umkhonto we Sizwe's. The anniversary has been marked by a series of events throughout the week, including a dinner last night. Umkhonto we Sizwe, which means Spear of the Nation, was formed as the apartheid government banned liberation movements, but it was the 1960s